Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and today we're wrapping up my fantastic January reading month. Now, I emphasize the word fantastic because was able to do something I've never done before. I stuck to my guns and read my TBR. That means I crushed my physical TBR. I read down at least 3 arcs for my NetGalley review. I read a lot of my digital copies, so I'm pretty proud of myself because this is something, like I said, that has never been done and probably won't ever happen again. So it is time to document this historic occasions. Now, I started off the month with one of the books that probably is going to live rent-free in my mind. I am still thinking about how this book played out. The first one I read was inspired by the fact that it was New Year's, so I wanted to read Miss Candace's New Year, New D, which is a short, quick novella that really ties into the second book that I read for the month, which was Soul Ties. What I didn't know at the time was that New Year, New D was the first 8 chapters of Soul Ties. So I went in thinking that the novella was going to be like the precursor and then we were going to roll right into the story. No, I had already read 8 chapters of Soul Ties and it just made me want for more. I was left salivating at the end of New Year, New D. So let's talk about those first 8 chapters and how I really think that if you didn't like the romance, was a good stopping point. But if you got to the end of New Year, New D and you were like me, where she showed up, she being Sienna, showed at Jihad's door and was like, hey, ain't you the guy that I slept with last night? And I'm not your new doula? You had to continue reading. Like, I devoured Soul Ties and I devoured New Year, New D. This was a quick romance between Sienna and Jihad, who were strangers. So Sienna had really just gotten played by her boyfriend of many, many years. She had found out that he potentially had gotten another girl pregnant and he is a celebrity. So she's always had a little bit of insecurity when it comes to him. He's been playing in her face and she said, okay, now is the time for me to explore and figure out what I want to do and do it for me. So she gets out of going and running an errand one day and she gets an envelope in gold that is really, really high quality. And she's like, who put this on my windshield? She goes home, she opens it up, and it is an invitation to a pleasure club. Now, at this point, Sienna is already at her wit's end. She's like, what do I have to lose? It's New Year's night. Oh, sorry, it's New Year's Eve, actually. I'm not with my man. My man is playing in my face. Let me go out and get my rocks off and let me see what kind of trouble I can get into, because this is not the girl that I was. I used to be the cat's meow and now I have this guy that's making me question myself. So she goes and she's like, okay, well, let me see what the club is like. I'm going to go. It's a masquerade ball, so I can hide my identity. I don't have to really reveal too much. Now she gets in there and of course there's wild things going on. And it's very interesting because one of the things that happens ties into later somebody she knows, which was the person that gave her the invitation for this particular club. But anyway, Sienna goes and she's like, okay, actually, this thing is not for me. I don't really want to be here, until she bumps into Jihad. Now, Jihad is there because his brother owns the club. And he is trying to kind of get out of his mind because at his house is his wife. You heard me correctly. His wife, who is pregnant. Yes, this is very, very scandalous. But Jihad's wife has given him a hall pass. So she is bedridden. She is unable to perform her marital duties. And so she feels guilty. And she's like, hey, you've done so much for me. You have been by my side this entire time. I know you desire me. I'm not able to do what you need from me. So I want you to do me a favor and go out, experience just the night out. Don't tell me anything about it. I don't want to hear about it. I just want you to get some satisfaction and come back home to me. Now, Jihad isn't really on that. He has been ignoring her every step of the way. He has been like, no, baby, I don't see no other woman than you. I don't have any interest in going out there and soaking my royal oats. But his wife continues to pester him and nag at him, and to the point where he was just like, okay, let me leave the house. Now he goes and shows up at this pleasure club. Again, his brother owns it, and he's like, all right, let me just get my mind away. I'm gonna go grab a drink. Now he bumps into Sienna, and this is where they have this instant connection where their souls get intertangled. Like, this is what the true insta love, you are my person, soul tie comes in. And so from there, I said, let me go ahead and read the rest of this book. I rolled immediate into Soul Ties, and it was a wild ride. Like I said, Jihad and Sienna cannot see past each other. Like, they try to be professional in the fact that Sienna was like, okay, that's your business. I'm not going to make a scene here. Like, I'm just trying to get my bag. And Jihad is like, let me actually pay you off. Like, I don't want any confusion. It was one night. I really shouldn't have done it. My wife was not interested. But somehow they just keep, circling each other's orbit, and they cannot break apart. This, again, is a cheating trope. It has the forced proximity because Sienna is forced to move into the house with Jihad and his wife. So it is messy. It is drama filled. It is very, very questionable in terms of the morals and the ethics that come into play. But I really truly felt the connection between the two. Like, I see that Sienna and Jihad were really the right people for one another. It just had to be a terrible situation that they were involved in. Like, now after that, I said, okay, well, let me take a break and move on to something else, because I actually wind up having a lot of books on my shelf that had the cheating trope. Unbeknownst to me, this next book also had a cheating trope, but it was very low key because the boyfriend was never in the book, at least from my point of view, because I did wind up DNF it, truth be told. So he could have came in and he could have spent the rest of the 50% or 75%, whatever I DNF, he could have came in and became a problem. But what the problem for me was our female character in Act Like You Mean It. Now, this was my third attempt or fourth attempt at Shay Sanders. And I really truly think that this author just isn't for me, because every time I read her, I go in with the highest hopes and they're quickly dashed. I think I may have gotten 35% into this, and I was like, oh, yeah, actually, take that back. I think that I made it probably 60 to 70%, and it just grated on my nerve. It felt like 30% because I wanted to be done at the 30% mark, but I pushed through. I said, okay, well, let me just see if it's me. It's not me. We just don't vibe, and that's okay. Not every author, every book is for everybody. And I had to go through 4 books to realize that. Not saying that she's a bad writer. It just doesn't work for me. Now, some of the things that didn't work for me. One, female main character is kind of a Paris Hilton socialite type ordeal. Not my vibe. I really didn't like the fact that our male main character, August, played into it as well. Like, in this situation, it is fake dating. August is kind of in hot water because he is a black actor and he is trying to figure out why he's not getting the recognition, why he's not getting accolade, why he's not getting the big brand deals that he wants. And it's really because this man has not dated a black woman in his entire career. Like, for the most part, all of his supporters, the people that go to the box office and pay the top dollar to see him, are black women. And yet he's constantly being photographed and categorized with these white women, and his people are like, actually, we're done supporting you. Until you tell us that you rock with us, you're not getting another cent or another dime. And it wasn't until his publicist, whose name is Zuri, tells him, like, hey, you're not doing too hot in the streets, and this is why. But she comes up with the perfect deal, and she's like, actually, I know what can fix this. There's a woman who is a social media influencer. Her name is Zandra. She's typically in these situations where you can contract her out, and she will go on dates with you, and she will show up and be beautiful black arm candy. And so he's like, okay, cool. Put me on game. Let's see how this works out. Now, for me, I didn't necessarily like the writing style. I felt like this writing style was a little bit dated for me. I tend to see anything that was before 2020 has a certain roughness around the writing style, and this kind of felt along with that. I also didn't like being the fact that it was a fake dating trope. It literally felt transactional. Like their business relationship never turned into actual like chemistry to me. Yes, Xandra did wind up going to August's hometown, but even still, they didn't have that connection or that vibe. And maybe it was because of her personality as a socialite. She was always like, spoil me, I need to be the top prize, you need to be on social media chasing me. And it maybe wasn't her, it was her publicist as well, and her manager was like, you have an image to uphold. And she took that quite literally. Yes, this is your brand, but this man is a professional as well. Like you are upset at him for his ex fling, and they had a one night stand many, many moons ago, and that is like something being, held up on. And she's like, oh, I just feel so betrayed. Baby girl, you're in a relationship. Let's talk about it. Like, you didn't tell this man that you had a whole somebody and your family believes that y'all are going to be married and live happily ever after. But you want to get on him about how he played you to the left. Like, he played you, like you felt like misled. I'm not buying it, sis. Yeah, I was like, okay, that's all right. I've got something else I'm going to read. And that something else happened to be Isaac's song. I was like, okay, well, let me get out of romance altogether. Let me take a break. Let me recollect myself, because Daniel Black, this book right here was one of my most anticipated books that was coming out in January. And I gave Don't Cry For Me, which was his companion novel to this, I gave that 5 stars. Like, it was one of my top reads, I believe, of 2023. And I just knew once Isaac Song said that it was going to be the son's point of view, I said, well, you don't have to worry about me. I'm ordering it immediately. I had an ARC copy, and Book of the Month was having this as their January pick. Immediately, yes. This book, I have an entire dedicated reading vlog. Let me tell you, this historical fiction felt so relatable to me. Now, again, I say relatable, given the fact that I am not a Black gay man, I still found a way to resonate with this. The author talks about, growing up in the Midwest, but also going back home down to the South. There were certain cultural connections from, being Black and having to experience your parents and really seeing how you make one person the good guy and you make the other person the villain in your story. How certain things, like, we feel like our parents are pushing us too hard, or they are not understanding our choices, or they do not support us and they're so hard on us, but really they're preparing us for the world. Like, I could gush and gush and gush about this, but I did have an entire dedicated vlog. Just know that this was a 4.75, and I gave it a 4.75 in comparison to Don't Cry For Me. Like, Don't Cry For Me left me a complete utter mess and a wreck, and I loved it. But this one, it was, I think the ending, it went on a little bit too long for me. Like, Daniel tried to wrap it up in a nice, beautiful bow, and I was like, I don't need that. Actually, when you ended it at this 80% mark, that was good enough for me, because the story was over. Like, I had cried, I had my moment, and I was ready to say, okay, like, this is where we should lay it to rest. But, baby, Daniel delivers every single time, hit after hit after hit. Now, after reading that historical fiction, I said, okay, I think I am back ready to take on the scene, and let's see what I can read next. Now, I then had an ARC advanced listener copy of Therese Clarke's Christmas Paw Wars, and it was cozy and delectable. This was a second chance, enemies to lovers, cute little novella that was set in a small town with a brother's best friend, Christmas theme. Now, again, I know that this was after Christmas, but if you were experiencing a Christmas hangover and you still wanted to get your little bit of fix in, because I will tell you, I didn't read a ton of Christmas books. I was like, it's Therese Clarke. Like, I'm going to read it. I'm going to listen to it. Not only am I on the ARC team, but I know she's going to deliver. And it was just cute and, you know, just what I needed for the time. I wound up giving it a 3.75. Francesca and Sebastian, they really had a miscommunication, which I can definitely see how it happened. They were still vying for one another. They really had good intentions when it comes to like their love story. It was just somebody else was meddling in the background. Actually, two somebodies. One person from his life and one person from her life, which really could put them on a path to be divided. But coming back in town and seeing their shenanigans, seeing them get involved with the town and the town really playing on this Christmas war between the two of them, really, you know, was delightful to read. Also, that car scene where they are snowed into a ditch, absolutely great time. Then I had to read Kiss and Spell, which was my buddy read with the Black Hat Witch Coven. And this was a part of your world kind of aerial retelling where the main character Ursula, she was a witch who had given up her magic for a guy who wound up leaving her at the altar. And from there, she's kind of sworn off men until she meets her very own kind of prince, who is a literal prince. He is a fae prince stuck into this realm, right? So he cannot get back home until he experiences true love kiss. Xavier is like the sweetest garden fairy or a earth fairy, and this paranormal cute small town fated mates type of situation where she doesn't want to find love again, and he doesn't believe in love, definitely doesn't believe in love at first sight. Slow burn, almost nearly killed me. Like I said, it was fine. I gave it a 3.25. Like, I didn't hate it, but I was like, what did they do in the song in the Little Mermaid? Like, kiss the girl. Like, it was so slow and it was just very fine. I came in thinking that because Ursula is my favorite villain, I thought that she was going to have a little bit more grit, a little bit more backbone. I didn't know how cute and cozy it was, and that's just not what I was looking for. I realized that I am a girl who loves angst. I love tension. I love drama. I love some grit to my books. And this wasn't really what I came in thinking that it would be, but if that is for you, if you love like the Disney princess, happily ever after, enchanted wonder of just like the birds singing and chirping and everybody just being happy, this probably would be your vibe. It very much gives that cozy feel, but maybe not necessarily my thing. But I will tell you, the next book, ironically, is also a small town forced proximity, but it was not cozy. Like, there was some things that were going on in this book, and I was like, yes, give me more of this. Like, I decided to pick up Love and Bloom by Lucy Eden, and Lucy is, first and foremost, so funny to me. Like, her comedic timing is like on par. Like, she is so witty. She gives very good chemistry. Like, the two characters, Emma and Dinesh, the way that they meet each other, Emma is coming back home to her small town where she grew up until she was about 5 or 7, and her grandparents have passed away, and they have bequeathed their farm to her. Now, she doesn't know anything about farming. She is actually truly a city girl, but she came back to honor their wishes, and one of their wishes was that she keep this farm in the family. And she was like, I'm not necessarily sure because my boyfriend, now fiance, is running to be a politician. He needs me. I keep him going, and this farm wasn't in my plans. So she meets Dinesh because she's coming into town and she needs to change into her outfit. So she goes mistakenly into the men's bathroom and she starts disrobing, thinking that it's a women's bathroom and that it was private and that nobody else would be able to get in. And he runs into her while her dress is halfway over her body. And from there, they have this like little bit of moment, but a little bit of banter, being that he's like, you're asking me to get out, but you're actually in the men's bathroom. Like, I'm not the problem here. And it wasn't until they go into the reading that he realizes, oh my goodness, this is the woman that I've heard so many things about, because he is the ranch or farm hand, right? So he has been with her grandparents all the way through. He has found a special home within this farm, and he doesn't want to see it go to waste because there is an entity that is trying to buy it off of them. But this farm is very, very special to the community, and he knows just how important it is for it to continue to thrive, because this is what the economy is based off of. And so he says, okay, I will help you with this particular farm, not only from the goodness of my heart, because let's be honest, this is something that benefits him as well. Now, he has been kind of a recluse. He hasn't really fallen in love with anybody. He hasn't really been seen around town, other than the fact that, like, he is the farmhand. So everybody knows him for that, but nobody really knows what, why he came into town or what he's been doing with his spare time, until he starts to fall first for Emma. Like, he has heard so many things about her, and he's like drawn into her, and he is such a great guy. Like, their romance just felt so organic and so natural. Like, he was the perfect thing that she needed. But let me tell you, we know how to fumble a bag, and she did something that I just knew Dinesh wasn't going to be able to forgive her. But all in all, this is a romance, and he fell for her, and he was like, hey, your heart was in the right place. You just did the wrong thing, but I'm going to stand beside you. And let me tell you, her boyfriend, Ben, oh, baby, I wanted him to see his demise. Like, he irked my soul, but he got what was coming to him. My biggest disappointment will probably followed after Love and Bloom. So I have been kind of on a high-low kick. And this was probably my lowest of low. Like, I actually DNF'd Act Like You Mean It, but I pushed through Love on the Ninth Floor by Airy Sky. And the reason why I did that, one, not only did I pay for a physical copy, it was on sale, so I'm not too mad about that, but I also paid for an audiobook of this, and I had the highest of hopes. Like, you couldn't have told me that this wasn't going to be a 5-star, because it had one of my favorite micro tropes, which is falling in love based on being stuck in an elevator. It had a fire male main character. There was some cheating trope in here. This had the soul ties connection. All of that grated on my everlasting nerve. Like, this book made me so irate. First and foremost, I think it's my own fault, because I didn't know that this was a TikTok romance, and I am not a TikTok girly. And I know it's like, girl, it's not that serious. Like, whatever app you choose, that's fine. But what I did not like about this, and again, I say TikTok because TikTok is very pop culture-y. It is very, very culture vulture sometimes. And this led right into this is not going to age well. And I mean that because literally, I picked this up 2 days after the 24-hour TikTok ban. And I was like, this is how we're starting. And what further irritated me about this book is because, again, female main character Nisi was like, oh, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I am a doctor. I am a dentist. I did this. I did that. And then she meets Kanan, and she's like, whoop, all of that is out of the window because he's fine and he can lay down the pipe. As a firefighter, the man has pipe for days. And I would have understood that, given the fact that, girl, I'm not judging you for your choices. Y'all went out on the first date and you was like, yeah, let me go ahead and sleep with him. I understand. If I send this beautiful specimen of a man, I may be second guessing that, especially given some of the ways that you haven't been with a man in years. Like, I understand. But sis, you mean to tell me that after 5 hours, you're like heartbroken? Like, you're like, this man could have been everything. Like, the potential of him. He was, actually, I believe that I loved him. Like, no, baby, that's insta lust and you fell for the okie doke. Like, he wound up telling her he was in a relationship when she tried to ask for more. And I'm not telling you that Kanan is right, because He is not. What I'm telling you is you got hurt, understandably so. Don't hurt anybody else. Like, hurt people, and you decide to bring Benji into the mix now. Benji, he has his own issues, but you were like, oh, I'm going to give this other man a second chance, knowing good and doggone well I didn't like him the first time, but my feelings are hurt and I want to cause havoc. They both, Kanan and Nisi, both dogged their significant others out. And for the life of me, I can't seem to understand in what world these significant others would be like, oh, yes, I understand. That's your soulmate. I believe at love and first sight. Actually, I'm going to go so far as to say, yeah, you actually slept with this person and I was right there. And I'm actually going to forgive you and take you back and say, actually, it's okay. Like, as long as you love me. Never. Absolutely never. I also didn't like the fact that, again, we were talking about how you found this man on social media. You went out your way to say, hey, community, help me find my perfect firefighter. I'm going to show you a video of our first date. And then be like, oh, everybody on social media is nosy and I'm not going to be putting my business out there. How you think you got him? And again, from a writing standpoint, I did not like the euphemism. Please do not call it my oasis, my love button, my treasure. Girl, if you don't call it what it is, pick one and stick one. Don't do all of this colorful words, yoni and all of that other stuff. Like, I don't like it. I just don't like this book. I could rant for hours. But what is that Money Long song? I can go for hours and hours and hours. 1.5 star. Now, after that, I said, hey, TBR, please. I am rolling the dice again because at this point I might have to check out or crash out because you're not doing me well. And baby, did I speak too soon, because my favorite book of the month, Bella J. I don't know what you sprinkled in this, but I have not been able to get it off of my mind. And it's been weeks. This book right here is not, hear me when I say this, this is not a romance. This is a love story. And you may be saying, hey Lisa, what's the difference? Bella is going to tell you. In her author's note, at the beginning of the book, she said, don't come in here with your own preconceived notions about what this is going to be. Do not come in here asking me to write a sequel. I'm going to give you what I give you. You're going to get what you get and you're not going to throw a fit. And baby, I'm not throwing a fit. What I want you to know is my imagination works just fine. Because books and juice are forever. They're living in my mind rent-free. Books is my first book boyfriend of 2025. When I tell you this man, this is what planning looks like. If a man ever says, what do you mean you want me to plan? He had the blueprint by the fact that he knew that his wife, again, they're married. This is a marriage in crisis or marriage in trouble romance where our male main character, Elgin, better known as Juice, was like, hey, I still love you, but I understand you're asking for a divorce because you need to work on something. And I get that. I'm always going to love you no matter if we got this piece of paper or not. You're my woman, my gal, and I want you to show you just how much you mean to me. I may have overlooked you because Juice is a celebrity. He is a famous actor. And he's like, hey, I have been thriving, but I couldn't have done it without you. And you just asked for me to be understanding. But before I let you go, can you take this trip down memory lane and go on this road trip with me? And let me just cherish you for the next 7 days. And baby, when that week was over, I was left spent. Like, I was like, my head was turning. because this man pulled out every single stop. Like, he wasted no second of time. Like, every minute of every hour of every day, he had her in the throes of passion. He had her swooning from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet. Like, the man said, hey, you are a reader. I'm going to read your favorite books. I see that you annotate them. I'm going to figure out what you love about that book, and I'm going to deliver it to you. Because this is how I know what your love language is. I'm going to speak your love language. I'm going to make you feel so loved that you will never want for less. And when you decide that you're ready to come back to me, I'm going to be here waiting. My gosh. This perfection. Loved it. Pick it up. I also read Embrace by Maya, which was a arranged marriage, friends to lover with a female character who is plus size. This was a quick novella. Again, it is an arranged heart series. And I know with my NetGalley art video, I told you that I had found my favorite in the series. Well, that was a lie because I hadn't read Embrace yet. Like, this was truly... my best friend is the person that I am meant to be with, and I was fooling myself. It was written in the stars because my family already knew ahead of time. Blaze is my person. Suvi, you are the woman of my dreams. And it wasn't until they went through this arranged marriage situation where, you know, they really saw each other. Like, every one of their exes has been said, like, why are you playing in my face? Like, I know you love your heart belongs to somebody else. I know you don't love me like I want you to love me because you love someone else. And they were oblivious to the fact. Like, Blaze said he was going to sign up for this arranged marriage service because he wanted to support Suvi, and after she had just gotten dumped. Like, if you're going to sign up, I'm going to do it with you. Best friends for life. What he didn't know, it was like best friends, but more, forever and ever. Amen. And Maya gave everything she had to give with this. Like, this was my first book for her, but it will not be my last. Like, it just felt so right that I was like, I can't argue with this. Like, if y'all don't say that y'all don't like the friends to lovers trope, you haven't read Embrace, and I encourage you to do so. Like, this will let you know, maybe it's okay. And I love friends to lovers, but, like, this is friends to lovers on another level. Like, I know you. I know everything about you. I've been in your life since we were both in diapers. I've protected you as your friend. I've protected you in a brother format. I'm going to protect you as your man. Like, you don't have to want for nothing. And let me tell you, it wasn't just Blaze, because Suvi gave this man, like, the dopest present I have ever read in a book. Why wouldn't I gift you with this? Like, you have done so much for me. You continue to do for me. And we're going to reap the benefits of this gift together. Suvi was that gal. Like, she said, I'm her. And I'm going to show you every time that if you show up for me, I'm going to show up for you, and we going to show up for each other and ride till the wheels fall off. Oh, fantastic. Now, I've got 2 more books to review before I wrap this up, because I've been talking for a very long time. These other 2 books, phenomenal. The Gift by Rosie Adams. Now, I have been talking about, this has been on my TBR for eons, and I'm so glad that I finally read this one. This one, again, was complicated. Not so much in the cheating aspect, because cheating did not occur, but it felt like they were cheating on their mutual love, which was the best friend to Maya and the wife to Jackson. This is the situation where Jackson is grieving the loss of his wife. Now, his wife was the love of his life. Like, he felt like he had so many more years with her, but she was shot and murdered during a robbery where Maya happened to be at. And Maya is the best friend. Now, Maya has never been Jackson's biggest supporter, and vice versa. Jackson has never liked Maya. Now, what we come to realize is that they didn't like each other off of preconceived notions. And Maya really didn't like Jackson because she felt like he was taking Charlotte away from her. But what she decided to do was support Charlotte by any means necessary, even going so far to be the surrogate for Jackson and Charlotte's child. Now, in this situation, Jackson blames Maya because she wanted to go to the bank. What he doesn't know was that she was going to the bank to gift Charlotte with something. And so he has been wrong all along about how selfish he believes Maya to be, not knowing that she is carrying his unborn child. And from there, they go in to move together and have this forced proximity where they really begin to get to know each other, and they start to break down their misconceptions about one another. They start to reminisce over the person that they love the most in the world and how they are both grieving, and it develops into a friendship. And then by that time, they really start to feel a connection with one another. And it's very, very complex and complicated because, again, Maya feels like if she gives in and starts to really allow herself to feel for Jackson, is she going to allow that guilt to be on her and feel like that she is taking over Charlotte's life and replacing her and stealing all of the things that Charlotte wanted and desired for herself, and Charlotte's not here to be there. Like, Maya feels terrible about this. And just like Jackson feels like, hey, how can I love someone else and give them everything that I was supposed to give to my wife? And oh, how is that person my wife's best friend? The person that they grew up together. Like, they are close as sisters, because Maya went to go live with Charlotte when she was younger and she was orphaned, and they had grew up together. And Jackson is like, I have to be the worst man on the face of the planet, but I cannot deny that I want this woman to be in my life for the rest of my days. Like, and they push and pull, have a cat and mouse game for a majority of the book, but you feel that connection leaping off of the page. And then their daughter Jade is birthed into the world, and it only brings them closer until Maya feels like it's too much, and Jackson is like, it's not enough. Like, we have to make this work for this human who knows no one other than you, and I don't want to let you go. When I tell you, Rosie wrote the shit out of this book. I can't wait to see her and shake her hand and be like, kudos to you, ma'am. I want to read the rest of the series, but I don't think anything is going to hold a candle to The Gift. The last and final book, again, another banger, and I didn't know what I was walking into. Like, I knew that this was everyone's favorite. Like, everyone loves the hell out of this male main character. If I hear Dr. Ezekiel Green this, and Dr. Green that, and Zeke this, I was like, okay, well, let me be on a hype train. Let me figure out what somebody's wife is talking about. Robbie Renee, come to the front of the room. You, my dear, we're besties at this point. Like, you're a St. Louis native, I'm a St. Louis native, and this was so St. Louis coded. She had me reading this in the middle of the night, and I was like, I think I might have to take my ass to this particular grocery store to get this ooey gooey cake. Like, I know exactly where it's at, and I'm going. She had me getting ready to say, oh, okay, well, let me ride down and get some, see if what she said was Monroe was really here or stuff. Like, let me go and figure out where all of the places Dr. Ezekiel Green could be, because the man is my second book boyfriend of 2025. Like, I get it. I understand the hype, girlies. I truly understand, and it was left on me. It's my bad that I didn't want to believe y'all, but I'm down bad. Like, I wound up reading the novella, which, spoiler alert, it's, to me, better than Somebody's Wife. Now, that's debatable. I haven't really want to get into that because I read that in February, but Somebody's Wife sets the stage. Dr. Ezekiel Green said, anytime, any place, wherever you are, drop the location. I'm going to be there. I don't care who you with. I don't care if your mama and daddy around. I don't care if your lousy husband around. I care that your daughter is around, but baby, I'm going to make sure you see me and she don't see me, because if you're in the spot and you need me, I'm coming running. Like, oh, it was so good. Like, you don't even, like, this is the one exception. Like, a lot of people don't like that she didn't show up, and I get it. But this is the one that everybody makes an exception for. And I understand. It's partly because Quentin ain't worth 2 pennies with a hole in it. Like, he couldn't even meld it together to make 1 penny that I would want to keep. But Somebody's Wife is a fantastic story, and I encourage you to, if you're wanting to give it a try, if you're wanting to give the trope a try, if you're wanting to see what the hype is about, do it, because I fully endorse it. Now, that is a lot. I read some bangers. My favorite, again, being Bookmark. My second favorite being The Gift. And then Somebody's Wife for romance. These are the top 3 that I have. But again, my other favorite for the month, which is non-romance, is going to be Isaac's Song. So I want you all to do me a favor for Isaac's Song. Leave me some sort of music emoji down below. If you have read this book, if you've liked this book, or you just want to leave that emoji, leave me some sort of music note. If you don't want to do that, tell me what your favorite book was in January, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye.